Okay, day 6 with the truck. We're gonna talk fit and finish, panel gaps, kind of how everything's put together, how tight the doors shut. We're gonna get underneath the truck. I read a post about some rust, so I wanted to see if I had any issues with that. Spoiler alert, there is some rust, some surface rust on some things, but I don't think it's the end of the world. Then we're gonna talk about interior of the truck a little bit, you know, how it's put together. I think the insulation is amazing on these trucks. They're really quiet inside when you're driving. And then we'll take a quick look under the hood, go over a couple little things. I'm no mechanic, but I like to work on cars, so I know a little bit. Like, I can tell you that's, you know, that's the Johnson rod versus the Schmidt trigger and stuff like that. So anyway, enjoy. Let me know in the comment section if there's anything else you guys want to hear about in future videos. I'll probably talk about the stereo system and what kind of upgrades I'll probably be doing in the next video. So enjoy. All right, good morning. Day 6 with the Ranger. I was on the forums last night and I saw a post with some pictures of the undercarriage of someone else's Ranger and the amount of rust it had. So I've had this thing for 6 days. I picked it up on Tuesday and it's Sunday. So we're gonna get under and see if we have any of those issues. From the outside, everything looks fantastic. But get underneath it and we'll see. So first thing, everything looks good. That washer or bushing has some rust on it. And up in there as well. So that's, I mean, I kind of compare this to when you leave your car sitting out in the rain just after a day and your brake rotors are rusty. I mean, it's kind of par for the course. And as soon as you give it a good break-in, not a break-in, but you go and use the brakes, it wears all the rust off of it. So the drive shaft does have a bunch of surface rust on it. So I'm taking the vehicle in tomorrow to have the dome light situation looked at. I'm gonna mention this to them as well. So they got the weights on there. Yeah, I mean, the exhaust looks fantastic, no rust on that, but the drive shaft, obviously made out of just some steel that rusts, whereas the exhaust is, I don't know, what is that, aluminum or stainless steel? Probably aluminum. Gosh, those shocks are awesome, man. And just beefy down here, like all the parts, that's plastic. It's a little protection for the fuel tank, I guess. Let's see what else. Beefy equipment down here, like big old chunks of metal. Nothing skimped or half done. Pretty awesome. Full size spare with the same tire. So, I mean, it's just a steel rim, but it's got the full size tire on it, which is pretty freaking awesome. All right, we're gonna keep moving up here. So I apologize for my camera work. I'm just rolling around with my iPhone in my hand. So we'll go in from here now. So not a ton of protection underneath the truck. I mean, it's got plastic. I think that's definitely plastic underneath the gas tank as the protection there. And then as you go up, you've got an actual pretty thin, but I mean, skid plate under the transfer case. And then again, there's the rust on the drive shaft. Not terrible. Then you got the balancing weights on there. The exhaust, zero rust on it, so that's good. Probably stainless steel or aluminum, I don't know. You guys will probably tell me what it is. And then rear diff has a big old drain plug on it, which is nice. And then you guys probably already know this, but never take the drain plug out until you've taken the fill plug out on the top, because if you drain it and then it turns out you strip the fill plug, then you're kind of screwed without any diff fluid. So just a little piece of advice. You probably already know that. It seems like common sense, but a lot of common sense doesn't really become common sense until someone tells you, and then you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense, but I wouldn't have thought on that on my own. So anyway, transfer case, nice and beefy. Keep moving up now. All right, so now we're on the driver's side underneath, looking up here. So here's the pinch welds. I mean, pretty solid work through here. Brake lines look good. Big old chunk of wiring harness. And then, oh, what do we got here? So obviously got the drive shaft right here, going back to the transfer case. Everything up here looks pretty darn good. And you got another skid plate under the transmission. I think I should maybe lift the front of the truck up instead of the back. Okay, so got the front of the truck up. I guess my camera stopped recording once it tried to hook up to the inside of the car, so you didn't get to see me look like an idiot trying to get the front end of the truck up. But that's cool. All right, so back to the tour. Up front, I mean, no rust on anything up here, which is nice. Like I said, so you've got your skid plate here for the transfer case, and then you got these big old braces, and then you also got your skid plate right there for the transmission, and then you got the front bash plate as well. So all the important bits are taken care of. Pretty substantial sway bar up in the front, that's good. Nice chunky. Let's see, so we were talking rust before. Lots of rust on this front drive shaft on the driver's side. Look at the passenger side in a second, but I mean, maybe that's just par for the course and I'm being picky, but to me, a brand new car probably shouldn't have that much surface rust on it. And what's it gonna do in the long run? So I'm wondering if maybe I clean it up and spray it with some Rust-Oleum or some sort of paint that's gonna protect it. I'm not really sure if that's a standard thing to try to do, or I don't want to go crazy and go overboard, but also, being the one owner of the truck, I want to make sure I take care of it, because just like every other car I bought and sold, this is my forever car. So yeah, passenger side, a lot of rust as well. What a bummer. All right, this is my wife's 2012, so 12-year-old minivan. It has a coating on it, minimal rust, a little bit around the U-joint there. But, I mean, this is a 12-year-old car. The other one I've had for 6 days. So, just a little comparison, Toyota drive shaft versus the one in my Ranger. Anyway, pretty good. Again, we'll look at the pinch welds. I mean, it's well put together. I'm happy with it. And then you got these running boards just mounted on with 2 bolts there, 1 bolt here. That's just mud. And then in the back, you got another mount there. And actually, it goes up too. So it's 2 bolts here as well, it's not 1. And then same in the back. It's goes up and around a little bit. So I really do like these. I think they look good. They're very functional. And then I'm not sure what this is for. Maybe you could add more stuff to it. I don't know why there's 2 threaded holes there. If you have an idea for what that is, please let me know. I'm curious. Pretty neat that it has a little Raptor and it's Rhino lined as well. I don't know what that is. If you know what that is. It doesn't have liquid in it. It looked like it had some blue liquid, but not sure. Some sort of electrical component. And it's on. Is that part of the live shocks? I mean, as this goes up and down, it's hitting an actuator here, going into here, and then sending a signal. So I'm guessing, I mean, obviously it's attached to the suspension. I don't know what that part is, but if you know, please tell me. This is a whole lot of video of me asking you guys for stuff as opposed to me telling you stuff. So we all get to learn together. And then that's the rear bracket for the running board. Okay, so that's the underside of the car. Now let's talk panel gaps, or lack thereof. I mean, evenness of them. This truck is very well put together. So, I mean, if we go look around, nice and even all the way through here. I mean, to be expected, but I've seen cars from the factory, like think of Teslas, for example, where they were having some serious issues with all the different assembly and the panel gaps and all that. So, I mean, we'll get in here. So, I thought this was a gap, but that's actually the exact same as the other side. Coming up around, nice and even all the way around the fender. Then you got the gas cap. I mean, that's good. Doors fit really well. And then you'll probably hear people saying that the doors, the driver's side door, like to me, that's a normal, like it should close, but obviously it's not closed. You got I mean, different sound, but maybe I'm just being nitpicky. My kids have not been able to close their own doors yet, but it is what it is. I'd rather have it tight than too loose and rattle. So for sure, I will take that over the alternative. So coming up to the front, everything fits really well. This water, I thought that was a little tab or something. This little, I mean, that's not terrible by any means. Just off by a millimeter. Let's keep going around. Headlights, it's tight here, gets a little wider there. We'll see if the other side, but this lines up perfectly. So, how's the bottom? Bottom's tight all the way around. Actually a little lower on the side, but still very, very nice. Similar on this side, a little bit bigger here than there, so no big deal. Front license plate mount is nice. When I got there, it wasn't on there, and I was thinking they were going to drill in, but it turns out it's screwed in to already threaded holes down there, and then it just snaps up on top of this, and then no holes drilled or anything, so you can take it off, not have an issue with that. I know with my RS they drilled right into the bumper, and that sucked. I wasn't pleased when they had to do that. And then a look from the front at that front bash guard. I mean, it's like an 1/8 of an inch, if that. It's not the big 1/4 inch steelies that you see people that really go smashing around, but it'll definitely provide some good protection. And then you got this nice even gap all the way there. Very nice. That looks good too. And then these, let me see if I can show you. I can't really show you, but they are actually functional. So air does actually flow through. I don't know where it's coming from, to be honest, but they are open to something. I don't know, I'll have to find that later. And then same with these. When you look straight at them, they don't look open, but it actually does have an opening inside here down into the engine compartment. So I'll pop the hood and see if we can see where that's going. Side view mirrors. No crazy gaps. Everything looks really good. And then when you lock them, you can have it set to power fold or not. There you go. Get out of here.
We got flies all over the fucking place. Son of a bitch. Get out of here, you fucking flies. Get out of here, you goddamn jackass.
Okay, so keep going around. I think that's enough for exterior looking. So again, gap, wheels look cool. Everything's, I mean, nice and tight, well put together. Again, surface rust on little things. So let's pop the hood, look in there. Okay, I got my GoPro out instead of my phone. So we're gonna look under the hood of the Ranger Raptor, and I'll kind of show you how it's set up. Interesting factoid, I learned this the other day. So these hood, I don't know what you call it, just this piece of fabric in here is held on with a bunch of plastic clips. And the reason it's held on with plastic clips is that so if your engine were to catch on fire, all those plastic clips melt, and then this thing will drop on top of it, so that when you do open your hood, you're not getting a face full of flames. It should be getting smothered by that thing. So I thought that was interesting. Then we're going to get into the meat of this. So 3-liter twin turbo. Interesting fact about it is there's actually no exhaust manifolds. All the exhaust happens, gets combined inside the head, and there's just a single port off the head going to the turbocharger. So this is on the passenger side, and I was pleasantly surprised to see they actually use Garrett turbochargers. It's not a like a Ford Motor Company doing its own thing. So you've got your intake, and then it splits in two, and then you got your intake to the passenger side turbo going in there, and then you've got your charge pipe coming up out the top going along, and then it goes down in here down to the intercooler, and then it's going to come out the other side of the intercooler. So there's the cold side of the intercooler coming in into the intake, and then you're going to have the same thing on the other side. So you got your intake with your air filter in here split. This is going to come over to the driver's side, and then you go down. It's harder to get to the turbo on this side, you can't really see it, but the idea is the same. You got your intake coming in, you got your charge pipe coming out hot side, then this again goes through the intercooler where it combines just for single intake coming up into the engine. So very well put together, it looks like to me. I'm happy with it all so far. It's one of those engines that likes to be revved up. does not get a whole bunch of power until you're up like 3,500 RPM. Haven't looked at the charts. I'm sure there's tons on YouTube, so you can get your fix of people taking these to the drag strips. I don't plan on doing that, but it's going to be more of just regular driving around on the roads and then going off-road as soon as I can start getting out there and doing that. So also going to look right in here. So pretty cool. So the radiator's up top, intercooler's down below, and both of them have these louvers that are on a little motor, so when the computer tells it it's too cold, it'll close those off, cut some of the airflow going into it, and then when it's hot, obviously they'll open up. And then you've also got your fans, and pretty much gone are the days of a belt driven fan with a fan clutch and everything. Now they're all just electronic. So you've got two pretty decent sized fans up here. One over here on the driver's side, one over there on the passenger side, and I believe that's it, just these two. I don't think there's one down there for the intercooler, but still pretty awesome. And then you've got your, we've already gone over this in the video yesterday, but you got your fuse box. This is for all your auxiliary switches right here. And then this is your main fuse box under the hood. And then you also have a fuse box underneath the steering wheel. You just pop the panel down and go from there. Windshield washer fluid. You got your coolant. And then your power steering, or is that the brake? That's the main cylinder for the brake. Where's the power steering? I don't know. The firewall is, I mean, it's clean. It's really nice. I've only owned a handful of new cars. Most of my cars have been used, but I've never seen like a firewall that had such like clean carpet going through there. And then, you know, it's just, I hope I can keep it nice and clean like this. So I'm really enjoying it. I love it. I love the way it looks. I like the way it sounds. I don't want to say I love the way it sounds. It's a 6-cylinder, so it is what it is, but it does sound pretty good when it gets up in revs. All right, while we're under the hood, we'll talk weather stripping. So a nice weather strip all the way across here. Then you got weather stripping on each front fender. And then one thing you see a lot of, I know on my wife's Toyota Sienna, for example. So this whole section up here is where all the water comes down and then it goes through these drains. And a lot of times if you park under trees, you'll get a whole bunch of leaves and crap like that stuck under here. And usually it's tucked under something and you can't really get to it and they start to rot and it just makes a mess. This one looks super easy to clean. Once I put the hood down, I'll be able to show you what it looks like there too. But I mean, very visible, nothing tucked away like under an overhang of plastic. So that to me is a pretty awesome design. Let's put the hood down and see what that looks like. And then hood, you gotta, oh, there's also weather stripping on the underside of the hood. Sorry, there's a backlight, but anyway, more weather stripping here. So a lot of, and that, I mean, dropped from pretty high and it still didn't even close. So do that again. There we go, with a thud. I love it. And then let's go back up here and look. So yeah, like I said, I mean, with a vacuum or a broom or really just a blower, you can get all the leaves and crap out of those drains, which is nice. All right, we'll work our way to the inside now. So like I said, I've had this thing for 6 days. I've gone 440 miles so far. Loving it. I think the door panels, I mean, this is not Alcantara. It's, I don't even know, it's more of a rubber than a leather, I think. Nice actual stitching in there. All of, like, there's no rattles. I put random crap in here because my kids like candy, but so when I like play the radio and stuff, the crap is rattling around, but the door panels themselves are very well put together. So let's see, let's get back doors opened up too. Again, I mean, plastic, leather, and then plastic down here, but thuds, not rattles, so that's a good thing. And then you get in to look at the seats. Like I said, my kids have been back here, have been going to the farm, so they're already dirty after a week. And then you got your little armrest with 2 small cup holders in the back, this little cubby here, and then power for the kids' devices. And then you can pull the whole seat down. Little tags over here. Someone asked me, when you pull that, do these flip down? And no, they don't. So if you wanted this to go down, you have to move your front seats forward. Once it's down, you can move them back. But for now, it's not gonna work. And then the speakers and subwoofer. So it's a ported sub. It looks like it's only a 6-inch, if that. It's a very small subwoofer in the back. And then you got the port. So, I mean, for what it is, at least it has something putting out a little bit of bass, but I'll be waiting for JL Audio to come out with a stealth box that fits back there. I mean, there's a pretty big void over there, so they could run something to fill this entire area, and then you just move your jack somewhere else. So I will certainly be doing that. But it's interesting because when you can't put your own stereo in it, you got to stay with the infotainment system they have and wire it into what they already have. When you take a speaker out and the signal is going to something without impedance, you can cause issues. I know my Focus ST and Focus RS, I had to build a circuit board of resistors in order to replace everything. So is this supposed to, it does stay up. Okay, nice. So in here, you got storage space, you got some tools, and actually pretty good size. I'll probably put my straps in here, and then maybe a couple water bottles just to have as an emergency backup or something, but we'll see. What the heck is this? So there's a hole that is right there, and it just goes down to nothingness. I can't see what's in there. Oh, I got my flashlight. So yeah, it's just more metal panels. Man, if that's all hollow, they could have moved this thing out and given you more space, but they didn't. So to put it back down, release there. Okay. Again, nice solid weather strip all the way around there and on the door. So it's weather strip to weather strip when it closes, or actually it's, so this weather strip contacts that paint. This weather strip contacts here. So you have 2 layers of seal, which is pretty good. That one closed pretty easy. Let's see. Yeah, that one, good to go. That one, very easy. And it stayed. Try this one. That one's good to go. Driver's side. Nope. Nope. There we go. So someone did mention that if that is an issue for you and you really can't handle it, the dealership can make some adjustments, and I don't know where they would make their adjustments. Obviously somewhere on these hinges to, you know, move the door, but to me the panel gaps are perfect. I don't want them adjusting it, and they're closed just fine. So I am just going to keep closing it, and I'm guessing eventually it'll wear itself in. So I still love it. I think you guys will too when you get yours. And that's it for now. Have a great day. Okay, so I'm curious what your thoughts are on these types of ramps. So from the top, like, oh man, those are super beefy, chunky plastic. And then you flip it over and realize that's what's holding up, you know, the truck is 5,300 pounds. Obviously that's not all on one of these. So say it's a Out of the 5,300 pounds, we'll say it's 3,200 in the front and 2,100 in the back. I have no idea if that's right, but 3,200 in the front, that's 1,600 per side. So you're putting 1,600 pounds on this. And I mean, I know it's designed, engineers know what they're doing, but that's terrifying to me. I know you can step on like an aluminum can, for example. If you step on it just right, it won't crush. But if you touch that edge, it comes crumbling down very quickly. So I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Should I get metal ones and not risk it? Or just keep these and not use them too often, but let me know what you guys think. So in sport mode, I think if you're really getting on it and revving it up, when you start to brake, it will downshift for you and keep the revs high. But then if you're in sport mode and you're just cruising at 50, 60 miles an hour and it's all the way into like 7th or 8th gear and it knows you're not really revving it up when you hit the brakes, it just slowly downshifts and doesn't rev it up. So it must have some sort of maybe like a 5-second memory of, you know, how you're driving it to know if it needs to rev it up. But the fact that it's not just a standard, always does the same thing, is kind of cool. I like that. So it's obviously monitoring how you're driving and shifts accordingly. AI is taking over. So I'm coming up to a red light here. As you're on the brakes, well, it only did it in a third, but it revs it up when you're coming down. So if you're like on a track coming into a turn, it's going to keep the revs high going into turn so that you're ready to come out of it.
It's over!